Hey, it's Chris Duval, your Austin area realtor, and I'm going to give you an update on the Kyle Buda market. I have a lot of people that ask me questions all the time about whether the market is tanking right now because the economy's bad and the interest rates are high, and these are all what people are saying. I want to kind of show you what's actually happening. So let's take a look at the houses on the market right now. Okay, so I have Kyle and Buda pulled up. There's 300 houses on the market. There's actually a little bit more. It's about 200 more that are on the MLS that are 2022. So they're either just finished homes, or they're planned on being finished by the end of 2022. But more times than not, those get pushed out. Especially we're already in October. So yeah, there probably will be a few more houses, a few dozen houses that'll be ready, but more of them will be probably pushed into 2023. So I just took those out of the results. So when I'm looking at the results, one thing I like to look at is the days on the market. You take the average of the days on the market. So instead of adding up all the houses, all the days on the market and dividing by the amount of houses, I like to take the median, which in this case is about 149. It looks like. So I go to the number 149, and I look at the median. I look at that number. That's the median. And when I look at that, it's 50 days on the market. So that's a lot higher than it was a couple months ago. A couple months ago, this was in the high teens. So of the houses that were on the market. So this is a slower time of year. September, October is typically a little slower, and then it starts picking up in November and December. So that, coupled with interest rates being as high as they are. Now I want to make it very clear that interest rates are not really historically that high. They are, in the last 5 years, they're high. If you go to my website, chrisduvalrealtor.com or baldguyrealtor.com, they both bring you to the same place. If you ever want to look at the mortgage rates, right down here in the center of the page, this is the current rate. So the rates are, double of what they were, a year ago, 2 years ago. But they were so low then that this rate is not really that high. The problem is the prices are now higher. So your interest rate is going back up to normal, but your prices are high. So that is making a lot of people ineligible to buy. That's going to make a lot of people's mortgage payments kind of out of reach. So you're having quite a few people drop off, and then other people that are getting like second houses and investment properties and things like that. It's killing a lot of those people as well. So the demand is not as high, but we still do have an enormous amount of people moving to this area looking for housing. So the demand is still there. It's definitely still a good time to sell. This is just seasonally a low point. I think that in November, December, it's going to start picking up again. And if the interest rates go down even a little bit, you're going to see a big pickup for selling. So I do think it's a good time to sell. I think any time is a good time to sell around here, and it probably will be for the next 5 to 6, 7 years. With the amount of people moving into this area, you're kind of at an advantage to sell. Now, a lot of people ask me, okay, so it's not a very good time. If it's a good time to sell, it can't be a good time to buy. Well, it is actually a good time to buy compared to last year. Last year was a horrible time to buy. All the houses were going way over asking price, and houses weren't appraising to, so people that were trying to get lending were having a very difficult time to buy. So that's not happening now. Houses are being priced at the market value. A lot of them are dropping down, or accepting lower than asking price because they've priced them so high. That doesn't mean the market value is dropping. It just means that these asking prices that people are asking for were unrealistic because they were using last year's model of just piggyback off the last one. And we've plateaued. So our prices are going to go up at a normal rate now at 5% probably per year, 3 to 5% per year. We're not going to see, this huge price increase. So houses will appraise. Lending is a lot easier to get now, and you don't have as much competition, so you don't have all these people that are, the cash offers typically win over lending. But since you have less competition, there's more houses to choose from. They're on the market longer. It's a lot less stress for the buyer. Now, it's still a seller's market, but it's not as bad as it was last year. And I think next year could get worse in one of two ways. The interest rate is either going to go up, which is going to make it harder on the buyer. Your mortgage payment is going to be more. Or if the interest rate comes down and all this demand goes up again, it's going to be harder to buy again. So might be a little kind of like a sweet spot. I would purchase now if you can. And then if the interest rates do go down, then you refinance. But then you got in before, if the interest rates go down and the demand goes up, prices are going to go up again. So this is probably a really, really good time to buy. I think you're kind of in a sweet spot. Last year was terrible. Next year, hopefully it won't be terrible, but it could be just a little bit worse. So, one of the rules of thumb of real estate is not to try to time the market. The market is really unpredictable, and it usually winds up hurting you if you try to time things. In this case, as I said, prices are probably not going to come down. I have a whole nother video on how the recession and the housing crisis is, those things are completely different. They don't always coincide. So it is a good time to buy as well. Just to back it up with a little data, or data if you prefer, we're going to go to the last 30 days. And the only reason I want to look at this, I want to look at the days on the market mean again, which is 60. Yeah, it's a 22. So this is last month. So you can see that the days on the market of the closed properties, the days on the market, the mean is at 22. The active houses on the market are at 50. So I'll be curious to see if when I do this again in November, what the closed days on the market is. They're a little bit different, because there's always a bunch of houses that are sitting on the market for a long time, and they're usually the more undesirable houses. But one of the biggest reasons I like to look at this is that you can clearly see from looking at this is that the list price or the asking price is no longer, or the closing price is no longer way over the asking price. You can see in the first examples here, the first three I brought up, that one's under asking, and this one is 2,500 over asking, which is not an enormous amount or an irregular amount. Last year we were seeing 25, 50, 75, 100,000 over asking. That's why it was so difficult to buy. Now what we're seeing is really close to listing price almost every single time. I mean, sometimes it's a little over, sometimes a little under. But if you look at them, I mean, there's not a lot that I'm seeing that are even, this is the biggest one I see, and that's 12,000. That's 12,000 under. Oh, that's 50,000 under. Okay, so, as soon as I say something, there's always going to be an exception to what I'm saying. But most of the time, we're seeing just a little bit under, or right at listing price. Sometimes just a little bit over. That's 5 over. So that shows you that the market is definitely slowing down. It's going back to normal. You don't have to have an enormous amount of cash. If you need to know how much cash you have to have in order to buy a house, go check out my video. I have a video on that. and but that kind of gives you an idea of what the market's doing. So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to text me, call me, email me. I'd be happy to answer any real estate questions that you have.